Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Leah and we will look at a lot of books today again. And this is my March book haul where I got way too many books and not a lot of subscription books actually. They will all arrive in April, so I won't be able to show you the new Fairy Loot books and so on. But I have a lot of other books, as you can see. So let's just get right into it. We will start with all of the paperbacks that I got, and this one is A Hunger of Thorns by Lily Wilkinson, which I think might be a standalone fantasy, not sure right now. It's, you could say, a modern fairy tale in terms of vibes, and we follow two best friends, two girls, and one of them is missing, I think in a forest, and the other obviously wants to find her. In this world, magic has become toothless, reduced to glamour, patches, and psychic energy drinks found in supermarkets and shopping malls, which sounds very unique. I hope I like it. I'm not the biggest fan of contemporary fantasy stuff or urban fantasy, but if it's written well, I can probably enjoy it. And storytelling is our main character's gift, which brings us back to the whole fairy tale stuff. Then we've got this super tiny German book, which is also an anthology written by different authors, and it collects, I think, 12, maybe more than that, stories in it that range from all kinds of genres. So this is not just science fiction or just horror. I think it has everything in there. We've got new weird stuff, we've got science fiction, horror, even fantasy. It's 15 different authors that just try to explore the limits of anything fantastical. So we've got Forbidden Zones, writing about the small difference between sanity or insanity and science, trying to find life where there's only death, and changing the hero journey. So right here it also says it is science fiction, fantasy, horror, new weird, and also slipstream fiction. I have no idea what that is. And these are all the authors in here. Should all be German. So I don't think this has been translated to any other language, but yeah, maybe you can find it somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, very excited. Have never heard about it, and I hope I'll enjoy these stories. This next one, Laura's Smile by Jessie Spragg, I have no idea, is also a collection of short stories, but all written by the same author. And these are all, as it says, terrifying tales, so they should all fit into the horror genre, but it's really short. Let's take a look. Love that cover. And as you can see, not a lot of pages, but it has different stories in here. Bite-sized, it says, so yeah, very, very, very short. 6 haunting tales of witches, monsters, magical tunes, and black cats. Everything a person needs to enjoy a cozy evening of horror. And then you have a little synopsis for every single story in here. And as you can see, the font is also super, super big, so this won't take a lot of time to get through. In a similar vein, I also got this short story collection by Stephen King with 4 different novellas in it. and the title is 4 Past Midnight. Every story has a title for this collection, but also just a title for the story itself. This might not make sense, but the first one is part 1, you could say, and part 1 is mentioned as 1 Past Midnight, then the second one is 2nd Past Midnight, but the individual stories also have names. I can show you in a second, and it's super big compared to the other one. So as you can see right here, 1 Past Midnight is the Langoliers, and 2 Past Midnight is then the story called Secret Window and so on. And I've never read any of these stories, haven't really heard anything about this collection, so I don't know if it's just underrated or if just people haven't really read it. I have no idea. But yeah, I'm excited. It's very floppy, which is a good thing for, let's see, 940 pages. Jesus Christ. Font looks alright, not too tiny, not too big. So yeah, really excited about that. I want to read everything by Stephen King eventually, so I need to collect a lot more books. And the last paperback for today is The Reformatory, also a horror book written by Anna Reeve Dew, and I love the cover, first of all. And this also sounds quite interesting. It's more of a haunted house tale, but with a unique twist, where the boy that is sent to this reformatory is trying to team up with the ghosts, I think, to take revenge on the people who run the reformatory. So this sounds really cool. And again, quite big, with just over 600 pages. And it's also historical, it seems. So it could be quite cool. I think I've heard good things about it. I know that it was quite popular when it came out, but I haven't really seen anything since then. Alright, moving on. Now we are talking about every normal hardback that I got. So not paperbacks, but hardcovers. And starting off with a series continuation by Seanan McGuire. It's Mislaid in Parts Half Known, and I have no idea which book in this series it is. I don't even know what the name of the series is, because I haven't started reading it. But I should own every single book in the series now, and just need to start reading the first one. Should be called Every Heart a Doorway, I think. And these are portal fiction. I think you can read some of the books out of order, but it's highly recommended that you just keep the order that they have been published in. These are following different people in each book, and it's about, I think, people who have come from one world and go through this portal to the one world where there is some kind of building where they can go. I really have no idea, but they all sound great. I love the covers, and it has dinosaurs on it, so I hope there are dinosaurs in the story as well. I love dinosaurs, so that would be amazing, and they are super short. So again, won't take too much time to read these. Wayward Children series, that's what it's called, right. And here are all the other books in the series. Every Heart a Doorway is the first one, and this one is Mislaid in Parts Half Known, which is not in here, which means that this should be the 9th book in the series, which is a lot. And they are, I think, always illustrated. Not heavily illustrated, but there is 1 or 2 illustrations in here by Ravina Kai. So in this one, let me try to find it. Again, as I've said, not a lot of ones in here. This is what the one in this book looks like. And yeah, since I have no idea how the series is, I've never read anything by Sean McGuire, I think. I don't know what awaits me in here, but I am excited for sure. Then the next one is Scarlet by Genevieve Cogman, which is basically the French Revolution but with vampires. And as I love vampire books, I had to get it, and I also love historical fiction that is set before the 1900s. So this sounds perfect for me. I think it's more of a YA or even middle grade book, I don't know, but I know that Genevieve Cogman's other series, starting with The Invisible Library, which I also own, should be targeted towards a younger audience. So I just presume that this one would be as well, but again, I have no idea. I just know it's historical fiction, it has vampires, it's by an author that I'm interested in, and I didn't need to know anything else, really. And it's not too long, which is also great. Got all the people in here as well. And also an introduction, which sounds interesting. Talking about French Revolution very shortly. Don't know if it's a standalone, but I think it is. So yeah, really excited about it. The next one is also, I think, a young adult book, maybe even middle grade, but I think it's more a young adult book. Just because of the content that is suggested in the synopsis. So this is Last of the Talents by Sophie King, which is also her debut book. And again, no idea if this is a standalone or a beginning to a series, but it sounds really interesting. Sounds like it has maybe some historical vibes, but it's mostly fantasy, where the young woman from the cover, I assume, has to kill, I think, the king of a different empire to save her sister, and it's a race against time, and also, of course, a game of life and death, so should be very action-packed. But if I go into a book knowing that I think I can enjoy it, I'm not the biggest fan of action-packed stuff, but if it's for a younger audience, I do like it. And I think, just assuming because of the cover, this book has some kind of Asian inspired fantasy world in here. I don't know which one, because it doesn't really say anywhere, so I want to keep that open. Don't want to presume that it's, I don't know, Chinese or Thai or whatever, because I really have no idea. But yeah, I also really like that. I didn't have the best of luck with the books that are Asian inspired in the past, but again, I always try them out because I really want to love them, because I do love the setting. So yeah, really excited about that. Also, very, very beautiful cover. Next up, I have another Christina Henry book. This is the German edition of Girls Don't Die, which is not a fairy tale inspired book by the author, but I think it's something that she just came up with completely. And it sounds very much like a thriller, and it follows 3 different women, and they are all women, and you read about them, I think, in a way that feels like maybe reading novellas. Like part 1 is about the first woman, and part 2 and part 3 about the others, and there is probably some kind of twist in there. I hope it's not schizophrenia or something like it, like as if these 3 women are all one and the same, because then I would have guessed the twist without even starting the book, because there are some things that reminded me of it just looking at the cover and the synopsis. But yeah, I hope that's not the case. And I love how these German editions are always presented. Every Christina Henry book is very similar in that sense, with all these little details on it, and also in the inside it is very, very well crafted. Has all the books from the author on here. And let's see. Okay, so the first woman is Celia, or Celia, I have no idea. And she wakes up in a house that she doesn't really recognize. So she thinks this is not her house. But then this little girl that she also doesn't seem to recall says that she is her daughter. And then the man that is in there says, "I'm your husband." So yeah, sounds really disturbing. But yeah, as I've said, I hope it's not some kind of dementia or schizophrenia stuff as a twist. Then we've got Ellie, and she just wanted to go on a weekend trip with her friends, but then all of a sudden she lands in this remote cabin in the woods where something very shocking is happening. I have no idea. So probably kidnapped, I have no idea. And then we've got Maggie, and she has a daughter, and I don't know, she's missing, I guess, or someone kidnapped her, I have no idea. But she has to play a deadly game to get back to her daughter. And yeah, sounds cool. I love deadly games. I hope it really is deadly and not just like a riddle and seems ridiculous and no one's really in danger. But yeah, it's a Christina Henry book, so I had to get it, even though I've never read anything by the author. I do collect her books. And then we have this fantasy romance book, To Kill a Shadow by Catherine Quinn, which just looks absolutely amazing, of course, but it also sounds quite interesting. So we have our male protagonist in here who's doing stuff, and then we've got a female protagonist in here who's doing stuff, and they meet and see each other and think they are the same and so on. And then there's romance blossoming between them, probably. But then the second half of the synopsis sounds really interesting, so let's take a look at that. Oh yeah, and this edition, it's a normal hardback, but it has purple sprayed edges on all three edges, which is quite cool. And then the synopsis, so got our male protagonist and female protagonist, blah blah blah. But then, with a kingdom on the verge of collapse, the knights must now venture into the darkest heart of the land and uncover the secrets of the misted shadows, where evil will prey upon their minds and feast on their flesh. It'll betray their senses, it'll surpass their nightmares. Most of them will die, but they have no other choice, because the only way to fight the darkness is to become it. I think that sounds quite interesting, so I'm excited about it. And then the last book for the normal books I got is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I talked about it in my last tour because I got the monthly Fairy Loot book for February, where A Fate Inked in Blood was in there as well, but I really wanted to have this original cover, so I grabbed another version of it. And yeah, that's what this is. Love that cover, so I had to grab it. And it also still has the sprayed edges and the naked hardback with the runes on it as well. So very, very cool to have both of these editions now. Haven't read it yet, but yeah, I will probably wait until I do, because it's a start to a series and there's no information on the second book yet, so I will wait for a little longer. Okay, then let's move on with the stack on the left, which is special editions and also graphic novels and manga on the bottom. The first special edition I got is Medea by Rosie Hillard, I really have no idea. And I read Medusa by the author and really enjoyed it, so I had to get her new book. And I really want to read a good fictional retelling of Medea, because I think it's a very fascinating mythological character. She's portrayed as this evil witch very often, but I think there's something in her that makes her just very human and morally grey and just fascinating. So yeah, really excited to have that. This should be the Waterstones edition with sprayed edges. Don't think it's signed, but it's a nice hardback, so I don't mind not having it signed. Also very good praise on here. And look, these end papers, also very, very cool. And then here's the synopsis if you're curious. I don't really want to know any more about her because I've read some retellings of anything associated with the Golden Fleece, so I think I know enough to get into this blind. Is there anything on the naked hardback? Nope. It's just plain black. And papers on the back look the same. And on the inside, that's what it looks like. So very, very excited about it, as I've said for multiple books already. Then the next one, with these ombre sprayed edges, is Floating Hotel by Grace Curtis, which should be a sci-fi book, a space opera, and this also sounds quite interesting. Also has a very, very nice cover. And this also should be the Waterstones exclusive edition. I think there's also one that the Broken Binding did, but I didn't get that. It's also signed. So let's look at the synopsis again, because I forgot what it was about. Welcome to the Grand Abiona Hotel, home of the finest food, the sweetest service, and the very best views the galaxy has to offer. Year-round it moves from planet to planet, system to system, pampering guests across the furthest reaches of the Milky Way. The last word in luxury, an absolute magnet for intrigue. Intrigues such as, why are there love poems in the lobby inbox? How many Imperial spies are currently on board? What's the true purpose of the Problem Solvers Conference? And, perhaps most pertinently, who is driving the ship? At the center of these mysteries stands Carl, one-time stowaway, long-time manager, but as forces beyond Carl's comprehension converge on the hotel, he has to face one final question. When is it time to let go? Yeah. Very, very interesting questions right here. And it says it's the Grand Budapest Hotel, but set in space, which also sounds quite interesting. And it also says that it's for fans of Becky Chambers, Martha Wells, and Aliette de Bodard. Don't really remember what de Bodard wrote, but the other ones are very, very famous. So maybe it's more of a light-hearted sci-fi book. I'm not sure, but sounds quite quirky, so I hope it's maybe funny, but also mysterious. Then I got the 50th anniversary edition of Forgotten Beasts of Eld by Patricia A. McKillop, which is an older fantasy book, obviously, from the 1970s. And I always wanted to read something by the author, so I grabbed the chance to get this one. And it's not really that special of an edition. It has a nice naked hardback to look at, and a few black and white illustrations in it, but that's basically it. And in terms of content, I've no idea what it's about, but it probably has a lot of animals in there. Because on the cover there we have, I don't know, some kind of maybe hawk. I'm not good at birds, but we've got a lion, dragon and black cat that I can see, and I think it is very well loved by a lot of people, but I want to go into it not knowing anything and not really reading any reviews by someone else. So yeah, just got it because I saw it, and it does look quite cool in this edition. So the naked hardback looks like this, quite cool. It's also on the back, same picture. The illustrations look more or less like that. This is a very detailed one, but that gives you a good impression of what they would look like. We also have an introduction by Marjorie Liu, which is a few pages long, and then also a foreword by Gail Carriger, who is one of my favorite authors, so very excited about that short foreword. And then the story just starts. This is also quite a short fantasy book and should also be a standalone. And the illustrations in here look like this. This is the synopsis. So it's about an iron-willed young sorceress and her captivating menagerie. And this is more of a plot synopsis down here. The next one is the one subscription book that I got, which is the March Broken Binding edition of the last book in the Hanged God trilogy called Slaughtered Gods, written by Tilt Coldhold. So yeah, now I got them all, really need to prioritize reading that series now that I have the complete set. And this doesn't have a synopsis on it, so I don't know what it's about, but it sounds very historical and Norse mythology with fantasy in there for sure, so it's not just historical. I'm also really curious to see what the next fantasy series that Broken Binding will put out in their monthly subscription boxes will look like, because it should be the first book in a series where I own the first book but I haven't read it, and it's also very well loved on BookTube. And if you don't want to know what it is, I will say the name, just skip ahead a few seconds. So it's the first book in the Gentleman Bastard series, starting with The Lies of Locke Lamora, and I'm really excited for that. I've heard some mixed things about the book, but all in all, there is a fan base out there that really loves those books. So yeah, very excited to see what these editions will look like, and I really want to read that as well. Oh yeah, and if you want to see what this edition looks like in detail, I have a video on it on my channel. And the 3 remaining special editions I got are all from Fairy Loot, starting with The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black, which is a vampire standalone, and I got it from their Fairy Trove. So this is in fact an old Fairy Loot edition, and you can really tell because the quality is not the best. The spine doesn't really want to stay fit, like it's not the best quality, but I really wanted to have this edition because I really think that it looks cool. I also have a video short on that edition on my channel, so if you're curious you can go look at that. But yeah, I don't really know anything, I just know it's vampire fantasy and it's by Holly Black, so I had to have it. The next one is the, I think, last book in the Atlas 6 trilogy. Hopefully it's a trilogy. And it's the Atlas Complex by Oliver Blake, which is a very interesting, very intellectual dark academia book. I only read the first one so far, but now I have all 3 of them. And yeah, as I've said, I really loved the first one. We've got different perspectives in there, they are all unique in some way, and I think it's also a very good thriller book. So yeah, has some fantasy in there, but the focus is more on the just dark academia setting and also this thriller aspect, in my opinion. So yeah, they have to learn in this academia setting and one of them has to die at the end, is basically the plot of the first book, so I have no idea what's going to happen in the sequels, but I'm excited to have them. I really love these editions, and I don't remember if I have a video up on this particular edition, but I should. If I didn't do one and you're curious to see what it looks like, please let me know in the comments, but yeah, otherwise I will have linked the video already. And then I also got Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I know there is some bad stuff that is being talked about the author, I think, but yeah, I can separate book and author, so I didn't really look into that. I'm not really interested in that, unless of course the person is like really bad human and did something really terrible. But if it's just a minor discussion on, I don't know, something they said on Twitter or something, I'm not really interested in that. So this is a book that I don't know if I would have picked up if it weren't that beautiful, but it does sound kind of interesting. So this is a literary fiction book, which I rarely pick up, but it also talks a lot about video games, because the two protagonists in there are designing a video game. I think it's just two protagonists. I'm not sure. Maybe the group gets bigger than that, but I think it's just two people. They met in their past. I think they were also friends, I'm not sure, and then they don't see each other for multiple years, and then they get back because of some random encounter, I think, and then they decide to become colleagues and to design this video game. And I just love video games, so books about it sound really interesting to me. But again, this edition is also very beautiful. I should have a video on it on my channel as well. I really love everything about the colors, the material, the design. The naked hardback's also cool, and yeah, just really love it. I hope I'll enjoy it. Alright, so next up we have graphic novels and also manga. Starting with the graphic novels, maybe even a comic, I'm not sure what it is exactly. It's Ruined, Lady Catherine's Secret, which should be a steamy romance set in maybe the Regency-era, somewhere around Jane Austen and so on. And it's in full color, which is nice, and it looked just very interesting. I'm not really a big romance reader, but if it's historical, I'm interested in it again. And since it's just a graphic novel or comic or whatever, it won't take forever to get through, so yeah, I think it's quite funny and entertaining. I already saw one frame with a naked butt of, I hope, our male protagonist in it, when I just flipped through the pages to look at it, and yeah, I don't know, I think it's funny, so I'm really interested in the rest of the book and the whole plot, of course. But yeah, it promises a lot of interesting scenes for sure. And right here it says that yes, it is a feel-good romance set in the Regency-era. Slow burn, full of passion and a little bit of spice. And in the synopsis it says that the whole city is gossiping about how Catherine Benson lost her, well, it says innocence, but it means virginity. Was it in the park? Or was it in a carriage? Just a very desperate man will want to marry her now. Someone like Andrew Devoner. And yeah, they are both really unhappy about their arranged marriage until the wedding night. And yeah, that's basically everything you get to know before starting to get into this. And yeah, it doesn't really have a lot of text on there, more of a comic style, but looks quite interesting to me. I hope I didn't show you something with a lot of naked stuff in there in the panels. It should give you an impression of what it looks like inside. And then the other graphic novel that I got is Garlic and the Vampire, which is the first book in a series, maybe just a duology, where I already owned the second one, but I didn't have the first one, so I really needed to buy that one so that I can read both of these. And I've no idea what it is about. I think it's more of a fantasy setting, maybe Middle Ages, and it follows this cute garlic character, and I think it just looks very wholesome, very cute, and it also is in full color, so that's also very exciting. I very much prefer colored panels over just black and white line drawings, so yeah, had to have it. And as I've said earlier, love me some vampire stories, so this could be amazing. The second one is, I think, called Garlic and the Witch. Yeah, also love witchy books, so yeah, just had to have it. It's very short, but it looks super cute. Look at these characters, I love it. Personified objects or animals are something that I really enjoy, since I love anything that is similar to Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon. And I hope this has just some similar vibes with some fantasy in there, some cute and funny scenes. Yeah, looks amazing to me. Here's the synopsis if you're curious and want to know more. And then I also got 3 manga when I was in Berlin for a field trip. I should have very limited amount of footage about the day and mostly the being inside the bookstore. So if I have anything, I'll insert it right here, right now. So I basically just got these 3 books in the manga section, and the first one is a book I don't really know anything about, Cats of the Louvre by Taiyo Matsumoto, and it combines cats and art, which are 2 things that I love very much. I'm very interested in art. I do some art myself from time to time, and I do own 2 cats, so I'm a cat lover as well. Combining these 2 things sounds really cool. I have no idea what the plot is about, but I think it explores some paintings that are in the Louvre and shows cute cats. I love the cover, everything about it, all the details with the cats on top of the picture, very cute. And the spine, it's super cool as well. And the back has more cats. So freaking cute. And then I don't know if there's any synopsis. I didn't see anything, so I just bought it without knowing anything. But that's how it starts. This is the contents page. And then we've got part 1, starting with a painting. And then the art style itself isn't my favorite, but if the content is interesting, I can try to ignore that. So it starts with a few colored pages, but then it goes into your usual black and white manga style. And again, I have no idea about the plot. None at all. Then in the back, these black pages, I have no idea what these are trying to say. And then we also have more art pages in here as well. Interesting. So yeah, I have no idea what it is about. No idea if there are more volumes or just this one, but I am very interested in finding out if I can like it or not. And then I also got 2 horror mangas by Junji Ito. I only read Uzumaki years and years ago. It was one of my first manga that I ever read. It just was high time to get more books by him because I really loved Uzumaki. So I got Gyo and also Deserter. Gyo is one full-length story, and Deserter is a collection of short stories. Again, these editions look so freaking cool. So love the spine for this one. There's some interesting details on it, especially here. And the back has the synopsis on it mostly. So we've got the floating smell of death that hangs over the island. What is it? A strange lacked fish appears on the scene, which is how Tadashi's and Kaori's spiral into the horror and stench of the sea begins. Yeah, hold your breath until it all is revealed. Something's rotten in Okinawa. It sounds like something that you should not read when you're eating something. And Junji Ito is known for his disgusting horror, with some body horror and just disgusting twists in general. And I also love his art. Looks very cool. So this is what the inside looks like. Just really excited to see all the disgusting stuff that he can come up with. And then the second one that I got is this one, with all kinds of stories in it. Also love the spine for this one. Very cool. So we've got an ever-increasing malice, a mind-numbing terror. See the seeds of horror sown in this collection of Junji Ito's earliest works. Oh, I didn't know that. The title of this whole collection comes from one of the stories in it, which is about a vengeful family that hides an army deserter for 8 years after the end of World War II, but they are cocooning him in a false reality where they say that the war has never ended. Which sounds messed up, to say the least. And then we also have a story about a pair of girls that look alike, but they are not twins. Then we have a story about a boy's nightmare that threatens to spill out into the real world. And I think even other stories, because it says that it has a dozen of his works in here. So, very interesting. I really think that the deserter story sounds fucked up and interesting, so I'm really excited for that one. The other two not so much, but maybe they are more interesting once you read them. And the other stories in here are those ones. Unendurable Labyrinth also sounds interesting. I love labyrinth stories. And Village of the Siren as well, because I love underwater stuff. So that's what this one looks like inside. And then we just have all of these books in the background left, which is basically consisting of series that I got and also one non-fiction book. Starting with the non-fiction book, we've got this underwater encyclopedia, you could say, which is German, and it's all about the magic surrounding the sea, and especially I think underwater stuff. So we've got stories in here, but also fairy tales about waves, wind and water. That's what it says. So it's not really non-fiction, is it? If it has stories and fairy tales on it, whoops. But that sounds even more interesting now. And this is a really beautiful edition, so let's take a closer look. First up we have very detailed and interesting cover, but then we also have gilded edges on every single edge, and the back also has some nice images on here. But then the inside is even more beautiful. And papers should be the same in the back. Yup. This is the contents page. So it's really a bunch of stories. A lot of well-known ones, but also stuff that I think I'll read for the first time. And then it's all illustrated as well. And then I got the whole Percy Jackson and the Olympian series in the Illumicrate special edition, because I never read these books in English before. I now have read the whole series twice in German, but I never owned English copies, so it's nice to have them all in this beautiful edition now. I hope Illumicrate decides to do the other books, the new ones that are just getting published right now, in that series as well. Book 6 has already been published, and I think book 7 will come out this year as well. And yeah, what can I say? I think everyone knows what this series by Rick Riordan is about. It's one of the best middle grade mythology books and series out there, and it's just very fun, very entertaining, and also very action-packed and surprising if you read it for the first time, I think. And I have a very short video showing you this edition in more detail, with all the covers in it, and also the spines that line up to show this really, really vibrant and beautiful map. And back also looks cool. Got a author letter in here. Every single edition has different end papers, front and back, which look absolutely amazing, and they are all very beautiful naked. So yeah, if you want to know how the other books in the series look like, I have a video on it. Very, very cool. And the last series is the whole Throne of Glass series. I got it as a present, I didn't buy it myself, and this looks absolutely amazing. I only read the first 3 books, so Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight and Air of Fire, which is why I put the Assassin's Blade out already, because that's the next book that I need to read. And yeah, I really like these hardcover editions. I previously owned the original hardcover editions with Selena on it, but they are not printed anymore and really hard to get. and I really like these covers as well, so I'm happy to have the whole collection now. I know that Fairy Loot is doing their special editions as well, but I don't know, it's not mind-blowing, so I don't think I'll purchase those, but they are quite cool as well. But yeah, I have the whole series now, so I don't really need to have the Fairy Loot editions. And yeah, I mean, it's the well-known series by Sarah J. Maas, where it started all. Throne of Glass was her very first book, and you can really tell that she matured over the years writing the whole series, because every single book, at least for now, because I haven't read the whole series, just gets better and better. I really hated the first one, actually, but I gave it a chance because I know that so many people love the series, so I read the second book and thought that it was just okay, not really interesting, but I didn't hate it anymore. And then I read the third book just last month and actually liked it. It's not like I love the series now, but I'm invested, and I like some of the characters. Not Selena, I hate her, but some of the other characters are really interesting. And I also think that the third book was the first one where we got multiple points of views, which also helps with hating Selena, because now we have a lot of parts where it doesn't focus on her, so maybe that's why I start to enjoy the series now. And yeah, I mean, these are just normal hardbacks with the new covers on it. I think you'll know what they look like, so I'll just show you the ones that I read already, because I won't show you those in the near future. But yeah, for the other 4 ones, I will read them eventually so I can show you what they look like if you don't know already. I really like these covers. They are quite simplistic, especially the spines. The spines look really boring, but the front cover I think looks very nice in most cases. So yeah, very happy to have those. The books are really heavy, by the way. If you get the same edition with the slipcase, like, oh my god, they weigh so much. Like, poor delivery guy for having to carry those to my doorstep. It's freaking heavy. So that's the whole haul now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you finished any of these books and what you think about them. And I'll see you in my next one, which will hopefully be a wrap-up of everything that I read in 2024, so starting with January. And yeah, have a great time. I hope you had a great Easter weekend, and take care. Bye.